Hello, I'm Chair. It is Friday, Fizzuary 17th. I wanted to thank you all for your wonderful response again on the discussion this week. I think it's great that there is a place where all of this good discussion can happen. And just a little bit of a plug, if you think that other people you know would enjoy the discussion, please share these videos. I've noticed that the views are going down, and I'm not really one to worry too much about the views, but I think I am doing well this month. I think I'm articulating myself well, and I would really like it if you guys could share it, because I would like to get this message of quality discourse out there. Now, on to my responses for the videos this week. My first video for the week, I didn't reply to anybody's comments, I don't think, because there were so many good ones, so many well thought out ones. I actually don't think there was anybody who left like a vapid comment, and so I just decided, you know, I'm not going to reply to anybody because I want so badly to reply to everybody, and that's just not possible. One of the questions that a few people left was, you said you don't take anything for granted, but what about like the Bible and the existence of God? As for the Bible, this is where Catholicism kind of deviates from other Christian denominations. The Bible is definitely treated as a very important document, but it's not necessarily treated as like a literal historical record, because frankly it was written hundreds if not thousands of years after the purported events in a different language than it was translated from. It's been translated so many times before it got to English, we just don't have any way of knowing what is actually the literal truth. But it still contains a lot of good messages about how to live your life, especially in the New Testament. Like, I pay more attention to what Jesus says than what, like, you know, Leviticus or, like, Abraham say to do. Especially because when you go further and further back in the Old Testament, it is written in a Hebrew mythological style. I know people are going to jump down my throat if I say that these Bible stories are myths, but you know, stuff like the creation and stuff like, you know, the story of Eden, it's hard to actually say that that literally physically did happen. But I really don't want to offend anybody, so I'm not going to stick to that topic. Next, about the existence of God. A lot of people wanted to know, how did you come to that conclusion? Or why do you actually think that? And for me, it's really just whatever you do with the evidence. I think we're all given basically the same kind of evidence in that regard, and I haven't heard any convincing arguments that God does exist, and I haven't heard any convincing arguments that God doesn't exist. It's all just kind of what you interpret through your own experience. For me, there definitely is room for God when you think about things like, you know, what was there before the Big Bang, and why do humans have these arguably unnecessary emotions of love and kindness? So there's definitely room for God, but whether you accept it is entirely up to you. And if you don't, that's totally okay with me. If you're questioning, that's totally okay with me. If you accept it, that's totally okay with me. The thing that matters to me more is that you accept other people for their beliefs as well. One of the things that has turned a lot of people away from God is what's called the mystery of suffering, which was mentioned many times in the comments. The main idea is, how can God exist and still let all these terrible things happen to people? But I think the greatest mystery involved in the mystery of suffering is that people can take it either way. There are people who see suffering or who experience suffering and say, I can't understand how anything could let this happen and not get involved. And there are other people who take it and say, you know, I am the arm of God, it's time for me to get involved. Or people who just pray even more vehemently about it. That's why it's called a mystery. There's no easy answer. Like, I wish I could tell you why God lets people suffer, and I frankly don't know myself. It's something that I ponder on a lot. But I also do strongly believe that God tells me to do what I can to help people not suffer. And I think I do that, and I am going to keep trying to do that even more. Finally, there were a lot of people who said, I don't need God to tell me what to do. I can be a good person. I don't need a rule book to follow. And that's totally true. I think there are so many people who do not have an adult relationship with God. A lot of people look at God the way a toddler or a young child looks at their parents, which is, you know, these are all the rules and these are the things that I have to follow because mom says so. But when you're adult, your relationship with your parents is very different. It's more just a loving connection and support for each other because you're family. And that's the way my experience as an adult with God has been. He's not so much a rule keeper as somebody that I just turn to for the support that I need to get through my everyday life. Again, I wish that there were easy answers, and I appreciate that everybody has been really respectful about it, and I would like to emphasize that I am totally okay with people who have other beliefs from me, and I would love it if you could share them, because I love discussing this with people regardless of their beliefs. So your K-pop song of the day is one that is by a breakout hip-hop group that are actually ridiculously good at step dancing. It's called Warrior by BAP. Fun fact, the word BAP or pop means cooked rice in Korean, but it also means like the idea of food, like your daily bread kind of thing. So these guys are, I guess, like your everything you need in music or something. I'm an English teacher. So I hope you enjoy it. That's all I got for today, and I will see you with a new topic Monday. It will be alright.